Welcome to Guelph Fight Wrestle. I'm Andrew Sennedra, and this is Captain Mr. Diarrhea, Witch Fingers, and today we are talking about WrestleDream. And we were talking about when we were watching this, that we felt like this is probably the best AEW pay-per-view in a while, and I got that feeling also like on the post-media scrum as well. A lot of people are saying like this was either like one of their best pay-per-views or one of their, or the best AEW pay-per-view. There was a lot of dynamics to it, and like Kenny Omega said, it was like a smorgasbord of like different type of wrestling, right? You had all these different types of styles, personalities from all over the world and things like that in this card, and I thought it worked out really well, especially since they brought in a lot of Japanese and influenced people by Antonio Inoki. So there was a lot of like really special, cool dynamics to that. 0 Hour was pretty good. It was an hour and a half this time, but it was pretty solid. I liked seeing Josh Barnett in there. He did a lot of really good ground stuff. He looked great against Claudio. I thought that was kind of a neat addition there. And but starting off on the first match, obviously Adam Cole got hurt, so that changed. The Righteous versus MJF, the 2-on-1. You said, MJF will figure out a way to win, which I thought was going to be bad because now it's, stomps out like the Righteous credibility. All of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he can beat not just Vincent, but like huge Dutch. So
yeah, I think it is kind of weird because like if they relinquish the belt, that makes sense, but like now they're gonna hold on to it until it comes back, and who knows how long that'll take. So like he's gonna like stomp on all these tag teams by like 1v2 against
MJF's
them,
gonna beat 2-on-1 all the time. I mean, he's gonna look like a god, even though it seems like Brian Cage can't beat anybody.
Yeah.
And, Luchasaurus loses. Like all these Big Bill looks like a fucking a jobber most of the time. You're just sitting there. Oh, but MJF can beat 2-on-1s. You're like, I don't know. They're pulling some WWF crap with that. It's stuff that doesn't look remotely credible.
At least he's like cheating to the maximum to try to give Righteous some credibility back. Or like you didn't make me cleanly, so I don't know.
The next match I thought was really good. People can accuse us of loving the high flying and the luchador style, but Eddie Kingston versus Katsuyori Shibata. That's the type of style of the meat and potatoes, the bit of hard hitting, the bit of the grappling submission stuff that we like. Guys like that. Not just like that's when people might get confused when we're like, oh, we don't like FTR, and it's like, well, there's just a difference, but I don't like to really expect people to understand. They probably have to sit there and watch us or listen to us watching wrestling and explaining why we enjoy that. But overall, I thought it was a solid match. It was really good, sort of not opener, but it was close to an opener.
Yeah, it was a good hard match, and that's funny because like Shibata, he's like a hard dude. He sells nothing, He's taking all these finishers, these hurricanes, he's doing a Zangief. He keeps slapping him backhand him. He's like taking them all, right?
He's Japanese. He's got the warrior spirit.
He's not going down. His head is like made of steel or something.
Well, look what the guy nearly died from headbutting, right? Like so, he's like the hardest of hards.
I think it mutated his head. He's like a mutant now, right?
He's like Maki Ito with the cement head or whatever. It was really turned out like a solid match. So I'm glad Eddie won, and he really had to turn it on and really beat up Shibata to get it done. But I think that was good, and I kind of liked that also. This wasn't like a heel versus face sort of match as well. It was just two solid dudes, respectful and things like that. You can have matches like that. And we had like the women's title match, Julia Hart versus Kris Statlander. Usually we never talk about the women's matches because we're not that heavily invested in it. But I just wanted to mention it because I thought Julia Hart's character is growing. Her match, her moves were really good. Statlander usually looked pretty solid, and I just felt like they put on a match that was better than anything we've seen from CM Punk. We were saying that during the that's just people will be like, oh man. I was like, I don't know. That's just how I felt. It was more entertaining. There was more character, especially from Julia Hart. That's just how we thought, and that's our damn opinion. So.
Yeah, and I think her character and everything, like her moves, is just better than Punk in general. Like she got that dark, creepy, you don't know what's going on, the cool vibes versus I'm the best. It's like I don't care. Go away. You're boring.
Mr. Generic. Yeah. And the next match was a wild 8-man or whatever the hell you want to call it, 4-way tag match. You got the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros versus Orange Cassidy and Hook, and the Guns you know, overall, I think we sort of thought that this was a bit of a shorter match, but it needed to be because of all the longer matches that were planned. So there wasn't as much that the guys could get in, especially since there was 8 dudes.
Yeah.
But I feel like Hook might have actually been like the most standout in the match. You know, with his suplex moments and his stuff that he did with Matt Jackson. I felt like he was most on fire within that match. And it could have been done that way. So like, hey, let's boost Hook. We've all had our moments.
And it was interesting when Matt Jackson got him to do his Northern Lights suplexes.
Yeah.
I was thinking immediately, I'm like, you can't do that. Hook's the suplex guy, right? And then as he's trying to do the second one, Hook's like, no, you don't, you know? Like, I'm going to give you a suplex, right? So I like the little mingle and interaction between the two.
Yeah, a bit of a suplex fest between the two of them. I mentioned this. I don't think it actually happened, but like when Nick Jackson slipped on the ropes to do his little, I don't know, cartwheel thing, and like Penta just stood there and froze. I was just saying like, oh, Penta's like laughing at him and he got caught. Like obviously we couldn't tell if he was laughing or anything, but I just imagined like, you know, that's what happened. He's like, oh crap. The next match, which was Swerve Strickland versus Hangman, I was saying how this might push Hangman to do more because Swerve's like, you know, kill shot style, right? Lucha Underground shit. You know, that one was really solid. It really developed into more. It was I wouldn't say it was a bit of a longer match, but considering it was like a semi, I don't know, a middle length match, they made it full of moments. Like so much, especially like Hangman really taking control, really beating him, and Swerve having to come back and stuff like that. They just had like really strong offense. I liked that Hangman, like usually you see like a bit of back and forth, but Hangman was like hitting all these big moves like one after another. I think I counted 4.
Yeah,
He's doing all this stuff like back to back to back to try to kill Swerve. The strikes were freaking nasty. You know, they were really heavy. And one thing I also noticed was Swerve, man, that guy he just flows when he's doing his moves. It's just boom, one thing after another. The hand grab into the the twisting suplex. He just has this like sort of smooth flow to a lot of the things that he does. It almost looks like he's kind of in air.
Yeah, like talking about smooth, like do you see his jacket came out with that gear he had? Like he was he had a pretty wicked gear.
It was a good jacket, but it's still, you know, compared to some of those other guys.
Yeah, and then like Cowboy's like also like doing like more cheating than usual. He's like biting him and stuff. He's like he's like embracing the role as the bad guy almost.
Well, he had to do that, I guess, in Seattle, which is weird because I don't know why you just boo a guy because he's from, or like a guy because he's from that. We don't like all the Canadians.
We're different.
We're moving on to a bit of a random match that kind of came out of nowhere. Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta. You know, there's some, you know, segueing to that, but at the same time, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and it wasn't like something that I was, you know, too invested in at all. But you know, overall, like it wasn't too bad. A lot of grappling, definitely some hardcore, or not hardcore, but like, you know, heavy striking and stuff like that. But I like the Ricky Starks' spear as that counter to Wheeler Yuta's one move there. So you know, there was literally maybe like 2 moments in the match but it wasn't like something that I was overly like, yeah, this match is really good or something.
Yeah, the finish was really cool. Actually, like that combo.
Yeah, the finish was good.
And also it's funny when like when he slapped him in the back, you see Mox, he's like getting really mad for you. He's like, don't take that, you know, you gotta pay him back and punish him, you know. Mox is like yelling.
Disrespectfully, he's like slapping. I didn't know that. Jackass gets slapped in the back. Well, anyways, that match was okay, but we're moving on to a match where I think I had like a lot of high expectations just because I have that with anything when it comes to Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
But, you know, facing, you know, Bryan Danielson, everyone being like, he's the best technical wrestler, and it's like, man, does any of these people watch New Japan? A lot of what Danielson did was probably a little higher level than what the young Lions learn in New Japan. You know, he definitely, you know, held his own and did, you know, some good stuff. Like I said, I like the cattle mutilation, and he had some good, solid moments. But there's nothing that he does technically where I'm like, wow, this is blowing me away. Because I was mentioning all the wrestlers, you know, in New Japan during that match that like, oh, I've seen him do this. Like, it's sort of like a regular thing. So Bryan Danielson doesn't really blow me away technically. Maybe they like some of these, you know, North American marks he does, because they don't watch New Japan or you know, Lucha Libre, you know, which they always get criticized for high flying, but those guys are very, you know, good submission ground based wrestlers as well. But Danielson himself said he was in awe during that match of Zack Sabre Jr. and just the stuff he was doing. He was like, blown away. He said he was unbelievable, and that's what we got. It was like an unbelievable, kick-ass performance from Zack Sabre Jr. Really, making Danielson look even better because he's able to, let Danielson do these things and put him into positions.
Some of these submissions Zack Sabre just grabs, man, they look nasty. His arms or limbs, you're like trapped. He's like reefing on, he's like pulling your fingers apart. It's like, man, like this guy, he just grabs things.
He's literally like the man of 1,000 holds.
Yeah, literally. And then the guy's like, what's going on? Where's my arm is going?
Well, like I said, is like even just like when we think of the Dragon Screw, how he made that look more vicious for Danielson, and that's what I mean by like. He can make a lot of people look a lot better at what they're doing in the ring, technically or whatever, because of what he's able to do. And I think that's, why he's the, best technical wrestler, probably of all time. I don't give a shit what anybody says. This guy going from like 18, holds, at a time, like Mox was saying, he's thinking like 3-4 moves ahead in this type of stuff. And we're on to potentially the best match of the night. We got Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Old Man Jericho versus Will Ospreay, Sammy Guevara, and Konosuke Takeshita, or Dawn Family as he called it. But this match was great right off the bat. We had the normal entrances, but I like the jackets, the ring gear of Ospreay and Konosuke. I was like, that was awesome. I like Takeshita's ring gear, sort of similar to Yota Tsuji. I was like, yeah, those guys should have a match. That'd be great.
It didn't fit though, because Sammy didn't have
the wears.
Yeah, he had a normal vest. He needed the hood up,
He should have done. Yeah, he should have had something that was similar, probably. Especially since he's heel, it would have kind of maybe upped his game a little bit visually.
I guess the Spanish god, he has his own style, right?
Spanish wares. Yeah, right off the bat, that immediate action, really hard hitting, like starting off with Kenny and Ospreay. I think really Kenny carried a lot of the load, what would you say, cardio-wise. Like he did a lot of the stuff from beginning to end, same with Ospreay. Those guys were like the cardio machines in that. I like that Jericho really kept up his end, considering he's in his early 50s, bringing out his older move sets and trying to like, I gotta hang with these guys as best I can. So everybody, all 6 guys really contributed well, I thought. All had moments like, Sammy had a really good swanton, really good air, almost like in midair, like adjusts his abilities, like, he's gonna soar over him and then just like cuts. He had a really good shooting star press. Takeshita had some he had his moments with his power moments. The suplexes, throwing fucking Kota Ibushi and Kenny on their noggins.
He doesn't believe in neck health.
Like the dude's power, like he had some really good stuff. The strikes, I really liked. I thought it was really great when Kota rose up from the ashes. He's like just, Sammy's like hitting him and then he just gives up. He's like, okay, deck me up. I know you're gonna dock me up. He just palms him and then just like him and Konosuke finally butting heads. That was really great. That's like a moment in a movie when you get the 2 guys, like the 2 final bosses, or going head to head. I felt that was sort of that moment there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like even before the match started, like Takeshita already impressed me more than Punk. Like you see his hops on the
on the ring apron.
I'm like, dude, these guys got mad hops or mad springs.
He's like 5 feet. He's like, ooh.
Is this guy flying? What's going on? Kind of thing.
How he gets himself ready for a match.
Also, like there's some like comedic moments where like they're like grabbing a submission and then he's grabbing his arms and then like Sammy's like grabbing his arms, kind of like everybody's like
even though the tension looked weird, I was like, it's like, why is he pulling him? It looks like he's pulling him the wrong way.
And then the other side of counter with their own leverage.
The double team moves, we got to see a little bit of Kenny and Kota's old double team. Not too much, but I like that they threw that in there and it wasn't like going to make it all about the Golden Lovers. So you get a little bit of taste here and there of a lot of that type of stuff as well.
I like the Golden Sex God pose. Like that I wasn't expecting that.
That was kind of surprising to see Kota get down there. That was another good moment. I like the Kota's getting into sort of all of that stuff as well. The pacing was incredible though. I don't know how long this match was. It felt like a 15 to 20-ish match, but it did feel like it was constantly going. There wasn't like, stalling for submissions here and this and that. It was just kind of go, spot.
It just went so fast. I'm just like,
but it wasn't even all like oh, they're just aerial, they're just spot festing. I was like, no, it wasn't. Like Kota Ibushi's strikes were not spot festing. You know, like Kevin Nash would say, like, you know, or something like that. Like, no, it was just there was moments that they had sequenced out. Like this is a moment. This one is pivotal here. And things like that, right?
Yeah, it feels like, you know, everybody got KO'd and then people getting dropped in the necks, there's super kicks, you know, everybody's getting
it didn't need to be just like Ospreay and Sammy doing high flying stuff, which, you know, Ospreay nailed his Sky Twister press and stuff like that, but it wasn't all just that. There was just, you know, many different other elements to it, especially since Jericho was like older and he can't do all that stuff all the time.
Yeah, but then like you say, he pulled some bags from his old tricks, which I like. He's still trying
tricks from his old bag.
He's trying to hang with the young guys.
Yeah, and like Sammy could have went, you know, crazy and done all kinds of stuff. He only did a little bit, you know. But like I said, is just doing little types of things, strikes, certain types of moves and submissions or whatever, right? But that was probably the best match. I think the next match was pretty solid as well, mostly because of Aussie Open. We've had our theory that FTR usually performs better or looks better in matches because of Aussie Open, the Young Bucks, the Briscoes, stuff like that. And that's sort of what we got from here. FTR definitely did have some moments in the match, you know, so that was solid. But I thought Aussie Open had like the better of the stuff. We had that awkward power bomb where you know, he throws them into Cash, and you know, Cash ate a knee in the ribs, and Kyle Fletcher's like, "Oh, you fucking bastard! You landed on my leg." Powerful belly to back suplex off the top rope where, you know, I think Cash was like swearing. He's like, fuck. That was pretty big. They looked like they landed really, really heavy. Mark Davis showed some athleticism using the sort of like lariat leg kick for the Doomsday Device off the top rope. You know, we don't know if he hurt his wrist on the way down, but he seemed to, you know, take that pretty well. But that was a really innovative move. We got to see innovative Aussie Open type of stuff in there, and the devastating shatter machine that was in there that the Aussie Open used on that. Well, no, they used it on FTR. You know, and Cash took the knee to the face. I was like, damn. Yeah, that one earlier. I like when the guys use each other's finishers.
It's funny when Kyle grabs somebody and he's running around the ring with the bear hug, and he like smashes. He's like, "Oh, from my back, you're so heavy."
And then Dax got stuck to Mark Davis because their body hair was like Velcro. I was like, oh, he's like, you know, because he drops him and he's like kind of stuck there. He's like, oh, what the hell? Get off! I was like, man, why was he like stuck to him?
And then another funny moment when Dax like climb up there, and then he does like the flying headbutt. And he landed like a sausage. He completely misses the guy. He's like
sausage.
He got no ears. He's no Takeshita.
He's just like, it's kind of like almost like an Orange Cassidy type.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, unfortunately, FTR won. I was really hoping Aussie Open would win, and we wouldn't get another FTR versus Young Bucks, which I think they might be setting up for Full Gear. You know, we've seen that a bunch right now, right? So.
Yeah, I totally agree, but I figure FTR will probably win. They're the more popular wrestlers.
I thought, you know, at least Aussie Open versus the Young Bucks would have been a new, fresh, you know, approach. And I don't even know if those teams have faced each other. I don't know. Anyway, pretty solid match. The pay-per-view's been growing pretty well. The last match was pretty wild. Christian Cage versus Darby Allin was a really good, solid match. Christian probably his best match. You know, pulling out some all stops. You know, diving onto him when he's on the gurney. You know, going crazy. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking cripple this guy," which he pretty much did. Like he had probably one of the most insane steel stair spots I've ever seen. It kind of reminded me of some of the death matches I've seen where they powerbomb the guy on cement. Cinder blocks and shit, and I'm like, there's no give to that. Like I've eaten my share of, you know, getting fucking power bombed on stuff and hurt at work, and when you hit something like steel, it just doesn't go anywhere, and you just feel it kind of reverberate, and the pain starts to grow through your body. You're like, fuck. Like I was like, Darby took that one. At least he's light, you know, like he didn't have a lot of body weight landing on that, you know.
Yeah, Darby, man, that guy took like a huge beating. I'm thinking like Darby probably called a lot of his own shots. He's like, you kill me there, you kill me there. I'm just like,
Christian suggesting, he's like, I don't know, sir.
He's like, you climb up there, you fly, you squish me on the stretcher, or just like completely like die here. But before that though, it's kind of neat. Where like his first win, he's like cheating like as always. He's like grabbing his turtleneck, he's like pulling his turtleneck over his head. Christian's like, I can't see.
Him and that damn turtle, like who the fuck wrestles in a turtleneck?
that dick punch was really funny because like
the bag.
Yeah, he's like lifting him in the air because he's like Darby's like so.
It's not quite a dick punch. A dick punch would be like Mike Bennett.
Oh, you know, the low blow, and then it was funny where like Darby goes up to do like his finisher, and then like Taz noticed everything. He's like, oh man, like smashes his head first, like crushes his skull.
Also, yeah, he's like, oh, the coffin drop lands on his face. I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. Head crusher maybe, and Christian had a brutal kill switch.
Oh yeah,
on there, which he seemed to hurt himself pretty bad. He's like, oh my fucking ass.
Yeah, but I'm like at first I'm like, he's actually dead? But then I'm like, okay, he's not dead because you see Christian running around. He's like, you know, unscrewing the whole entire ring so he can like, you know,
after he threw him on the stairs.
Yeah.
I think that probably was the whole idea. Like, oh, we want to use this. Well, how do we get time? Well, if he kills Darby on the stairs, it'll give Christian plenty of time to go do that. He's like, oh, how can we do this? We gotta fucking obliterate you, man. So give me plenty of time to go unstring the fucking ring mat.
Yeah, because like after the match, I'm thinking, man, I don't want anybody coming out because like I'm thinking this ended really well. And then I couldn't be any more wrong. I think it
I kept saying that.
Yeah, perfectly.
It should come out to save the day. You know. Well, yeah, I was mentioning that like that when Christian first came, that I always thought, you know, when Edge returned to wrestling or whatever, that wouldn't it be? I always thought it would be interesting, you know, because these two guys are kind of innovators of like the TLC, and they do a lot, not aerial, but they have some really big moments in wrestling that I thought it would be good that they sort of end. You know, have a rivalry in AEW, especially when Christian turned heel. Then this vicious version heel, like he's been sadistic and just cold as fuck, right? So I thought this would be perfect for Edge, and then I was just calling it, you know, more and more as this sort of rivalry grew between Christian and Darby.
Yeah, you're like the Wizard of Oz. You're like calling all the betrayers. You're like, oh, that guy's gonna betray Darby, Edge is gonna come out, and then he's gonna pretend, and he's gonna betray Christian.
Yeah, I called like every single spot. I was like, oh, Nick Wayne's gonna betray him because he was like, I was just standing at the pose that he had with the title. And then, especially also the promos between Nick Wayne and Christian, the way Christian was presenting himself to Nick Wayne in conversations, and Nick Wayne talking about Christian, I felt like there was some sort of uneasiness there that Nick Wayne was gonna turn on Darby, especially since he was like, oh, you left our family, you know, when Buddy, you know, you separated from us, then Buddy died, you took AR Fox's side when he attacked me at my home, so you could sort of see the little seeds dropped in there.
Yeah, I totally expected the turn as well, but I just thought it was funny how, like, you know, like earlier that day, you know, your buddy Luchasaurus like nearly killed me, and now you want me to team with you?
Oh yeah, nearly. Yeah, what the hell? That was all like a giant. Oh, nearly kill me. Make it look like, you know, I'm on your side or not on your side. Yeah.
It was like nearly a squash match.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was gonna mention, you know, you were talking about promos and stuff like that, but like I said, you know, Darby's promo work is, I think, better than MJF's because it's more passionate, more emotion to it, and gets you more invested, drawn in. Whereas MJF's like, you know, anybody can really, you know, I can talk. I can cut promos on people. I can start insulting you or any, you know, and see hags around town. But like, you know, it's just, I don't know, like, he just doesn't, it's become repetitive, and I just don't get invested as much. I like Darby's personally better because I feel like you get more out of it, and he's not doing promos every week all the time, right? So it's something like that's a little more rare, you know. But anyways, really solid match. We're gonna go into our ratings now. So what do you have it from good, great, awesome, amazing, spectacular, and fantastique?
I have to give it a full fantastique.
Oh, is that your first? No, that might be your
second.
I think we've, because I think we both had our Fantastique's the same one.
Yeah, I think Cole and Danielson came out with the.
Oh, might have been. Oh, anyways, yeah, I thought Adam Copeland coming out, I thought they really did a great job. You know, Christian pulling out quite a bit, you know, them going really hard. I think that match and that ending, everything really catapulted that up to make this extremely memorable moment in all of the wrestling I've seen. You know, so I'm gonna go Fantastique as well.
I think we had an all-time high after we finished watching this, so it definitely deserved it.
Well, yeah, and especially since we were disappointed in some of these other ones. Like everybody loves Wembley and those ones, but we just, you know, we didn't get it behind some of those ones as much. But you know, whatever. It's our opinion. We can say whatever the fuck we want when it comes to what we like and dislike, right? So you know, you don't like that. Anyways, until next time, folks. How about some heavy wrestling?